Oh, Canada, how much sweetness you have given us. Maple syrup, Rush, Drake, Rob Ford, just right up there, being amazing. While us Americans are finding the newest ways to wrap our Range Rovers in velvet, Volkswagen tuner HPA out of Vancouver was quietly building a Golf with enough power to warp time itself. This is the HPA FT740. From this angle, it looks like a Golf. From this angle, it looks like a Golf. From this angle, it looks like a Golf with a carbon fiber hood. From this angle, it looks like a Golf with nice wheels. When you start it, you put the 7-speed automatic in D and putter around the neighborhood, it is most certainly a Golf. Then you move the lever over to S, engage launch control, and immediately realize that your very definition of the word fast may be a little bit out of date.
If I admitted to the speed that was, I would be arrested on sight. It's a little on the heavy side, it's 3,600 pounds, but with 740 horsepower, that's hardly a problem.
HPA stands for High Water Performance Auto. We've been tuning Volkswagens and Audis for almost 25 years now. We brought you our FT740, which is a twin-turbo, 7-speed hot hatch. It's an ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing. When the latest rendition of the Golf R came out, the Mark 6 platform, 2012 and 2013, they went away from the 3.2-liter V6 engine that we'd worked with for over a decade. They only put the 2-liter 4-cylinder in, and for us, torque is king, and there was no replacement for displacement. So we had to go and shoehorn in a little bit bigger engine. So now we upgraded it and augmented it with a 3.6 V6. After we hung 2 hybrid turbos onto the back of it, we're kissing 740 horsepower. There's a little bit of wizardry from around the pond. The pistons are machined, the valves are increased in diameter, but most importantly, the whole drivetrain is upgraded.
This thing is mental. It's really, really crazy. But it's not crazy for the reasons you're probably thinking. In the past, if you told me that you had a Volkswagen Golf with 740 horsepower, I would assume that it was some kind of crazy race car, a one-trick pony at best, something totally undrivable at worst. But what if I then told you that you could put it in automatic and that it was this quiet? And if you drove it in traffic every day, you could never notice what was under the hood, and that it has air conditioning and a radio. All the gauges work. It has a back seat and a trunk. And yet, all you have to do is drop it into manual mode, go down 3 gears in the dual clutch gearbox, and boost. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's so fast. It's so fast. But the craziest part isn't how fast it is. The craziest part is that if you told me this car was built in Wolfsburg by Volkswagen's Skunk Works and not by an aftermarket company in Canada, I would totally believe you. As much of a sleeper as you could possibly get, aside from the R badge, which indicates that it would have just under half the power that it actually has. The gearbox is out of a TTRS. It's a 7-speed dual clutch, and it's built.
We dipped into the Volkswagen Audi toy box per se, and we found the 7-speed dry clutch gearbox from the TTRS over in Europe. Its prop shafts, drive shafts, gearbox give this thing everything it needs to harness the power and the torque of the V6. the last 15 years, we've been going to KW for all of our suspension needs, and when we built this high horsepower car where it's squatting its back end and it's trying to tear the tires from the tarmac, we want to control that. And their twin tube low pressure dampers doing a phenomenal job of giving you limited compromise on comfort with incredible grip and stiction. Yeah, our customer, you know, when he called us up, he reads a lot of the articles and all the chatter and all the benchmarking has been the GTR. And his one mandate was, if we deliver this and it ships, it better beat the fastest GTR in his neighborhood. So that was our benchmark that we had to fit. We called in a few GTRs and went hunting.
This thing is so ridiculously fast and yet so sorted. The temperature gauge right in the middle, even though it's quite warm today and we're not exactly going slow.
This little package is 740 horse, damn near 650 foot-pounds of torque, screams 0 to 60 in 2.8, blisters 125 miles an hour in 8.8 seconds, and goes up to 190 in 22 seconds. This thing tops out just over 200 miles an hour with that 7-speed box strapped on it.
The thing is, with this much power accessible this easily, it's really easy to overdrive it. It makes the greatest sound. You have to see really far ahead, and you have to get on those brakes when you can, because even though they're big discs with 6 pistons in the front, 4 pistons in the rear, you know, you're talking about something that attains modified GTR speeds in between corners, and you're still limited ultimately by the cornering ability of a Golf R on good tires. That means those brakes can be working really hard.
The Volkswagen VR6 is the world's only narrow angle V, so it's a true V, 11.8 degrees offset, so it's a V under one head, and it was designed to take the place of 4-cylinder engines. So shoehorning it into these Golfs or Beetles or any application, it works without drama.
Question is, how does one fit a V6 under the hood of a Golf? If you look at some of the details of the 3.6 liter V6, you can tell right away it's designed to fit somewhere that a 4 or 5 cylinder engine should go. So even though it's a V6, it only has one head with its spark plugs on an angle here, indicating which direction they go for the very narrow V. That leaves lots of room for intercoolers and all the crazy plumbing you need for this, and they've even got the turbos shoved right in the back here. Overall, tidy package. Downsides. Okay, there are a couple of downsides. For one, the brakes. I mentioned this, it's very easy to overdrive the brakes just because the car is so fucking fast. Downside number 2, the customer of this particular car was not particularly into paddle shifters, and so there aren't any, meaning you have to shift with the lever, which is reversed. That's kind of annoying. Downside number 3. There isn't one. Those are the only 2. This thing rocks in every other way.
The more observant among you may have noticed by now that there are a great many comparisons to be drawn between the FT740 and the Nissan GTR, a car I'm not hugely fond of. But take that formula, apply it to a car 200 pounds lighter and 30% smaller, add in a dash of utter invisibility and 2 pinches of mental illness, and the FT740 elevates the game to a new level. It's manic, it's mental, easily one of the fastest road cars I've ever driven. At the same time, it's accessible. There's no learning curve. There's no wrong move. There's no watch out or else moment with this car. A true dual personality masterpiece that, without the flashy wheels, nobody would give a second glance. Scare your friends, win money, embarrass 911 Turbo owners at Waterfest, hell, rob a bank and disappear into the crowd. With this car, the world is your oyster. Oh, Canada indeed.